No matter who you are, you need to give it up to moms. Let's give it up to moms this morning. If you're listening in your car, you're on your walk, I just want you to clap like you're a crazy person. I want you to clap your hands so the person that is in the car next to you is wondering, like, what are they clapping about? And if you're on your walk, clap. If your family is around you and you're listening to it in your earbuds, or you're at the gym, I want you to just clap right now. And that clap goes out to your mama. Our moms have done so much in our lives, in all of our lives. It is like unfathomable to be, in the mindset of a mom, constantly looking to make sure that everybody else is good. Well, this was a lesson that my mom taught me very early on, and she would say it all the time. Whatever starts out right ends up right. And she would just constantly say that to me. And I'd be like, yeah, Mom, but what about this part? What about that part? She said, stop, son. There's always a time where you can start over, but whatever starts out right ends up right. But what I realized throughout my life was it was the messy middle that she never told me about. She didn't tell me that the middle was going to be nasty. It was going to be the part that would test all the foundational parts. It would test everything that I believed. She would just say, whatever starts out right ends up right, and you have the opportunity to start and restart whenever you want. You can stop, pause, and then start it over. But whatever starts out right ends up right. And this is where I've seen myself get into challenges. I've seen companies and people that I've worked with where they get into challenges. It's the messy middle. It's when it starts to test things. The middle is not promised. But what my mom was saying is promised that if it starts out right and you build it on a firm foundation, in the end, it all works out. But it's the middle part that we have to worry about. It's that messy middle. It's the part where we had the business plan and maybe we didn't go into it completely, completely as detailed as we wanted. And then in the middle, things start to test us. And then we take a shortcut. And guess what starts to happen in the end? So it was incredible because my pops was big on this also. In Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, submit to him in all your ways, and he will make your path straight. This is what he would say to me over and over and over again. And what I didn't realize that in Proverbs 3, which is in the first, you think about it, in the first 10 chapters of Proverbs, it's all about setting the right foundation. Then in the from 11 to 20 from Proverbs 11 to 20, then there's this middle part that it starts to talk about all the things and the options that you're going to have and the silliness that could come in. And then from 21 through 30, it talks about the consequences of that silliness. And then Proverbs 31 is the ultimate payoff. This is exactly what my mom was talking about. Whatever starts out right ends up right. And we're going to dive right into that in Proverbs 3 today. I can't wait for this. It makes my heart sing. So honestly, beware of the messy middle, but know that it's coming and just get prepared by starting it out right and it'll end up right. So let's get this party started.
Evening, we's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
April 12th. I keep telling you about it. Come out and check us out. It's going to be incredible. The cool thing with the Vibe is that we gave you now an opportunity to be able to read it on Substack, to watch it or listen to it on the podcast, to be able to experience it with the Vibe Experience in the Vibe Room, and then to be able to engage in it by having me come in and speak to your company. So there's all different ways, no matter where you're at, that you can engage with the Vibe. So if you want to read it, you want to listen to it, you want to watch it, you want to experience it, or you want to engage in it, we've got the answers for you. So I want to thank you guys for that. The messy middle part, this was wild, is because my mom was constantly on this, and it's big to me today because actually tomorrow is her birthday. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6 was her birthday. And it was a very special one, not only because it's a consecutive birthday and they don't come around that often, but also she was a very, 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 very special lady. And she called herself a prayer warrior. She was one of those people that literally, if you had a worry in the world, you had a care, anything like that, she would just be like, what can I pray for you? And she wasn't the person that was beating her chest or out there saying that, oh, I'm doing this and I'm righteous and all these things. She was just doing it. And that's the cool thing with my mom. And I just got to see that example over and over and over again. And a lot of times we need that within our lives. And I want to encourage you because this is the beginning of the month. And in the beginning of the month, it's the third day of February. In the beginning of the month, everything seems to, we're fresh, we're new. And let's put it this way, like, you guys remember the first of the year or the first of the year, January 1st. It's a new year, new me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And if we set the foundation in that time and we commit to that, then the middle that happens, that's the part that most people don't talk about. No one's like making February and March resolutions, and nobody's jumping up and down being like, new February, new me, new March, new me, new April, new me. They're like, nah, I'm in the weeds right now. I'm in the weeds. But let's think about it this way. We got a fresh start. It's March, beginning of March. And so the middle of March is going to be upon us before we know it. And the middle is always messy. So just be conscious of it. And what God was saying to us in Proverbs 3 is he invites us to get ready for the messy middle, even when it's unimaginable. And I can tell you this, in my life, there's been so many times where if a person said, oh, you're going to experience this, so you get ready for it. I was like, no, you don't understand what's going on. Things are flowing right now. I'm in flow. But while you're in flow, get prepared for the unimaginable because the messy middle is coming at some point. And some of you are in the messy middle right now, and I just want to encourage you. What my mom said is you always have the ability to be able to turn it off, stop for a second, reset it, and start again. But start it with a firm foundation. And when you do, it won't stop the messy middle from happening, but it'll make you a little bit more prepared. I used to think that when God used these principles, I would be like, yeah, that'd be great. I'm so excited about it, and I'm just going to be ready, and nothing's going to hit me now. And then it happened. And when it happened, like craziness happened, I was like, it didn't stop me from experiencing it. It didn't stop the circumstances. But what it did is it changed my perspective on it and helped me to realize that if I started it out right and the messy middle happens, it's going to end up right. So that gave me the ability to be able to persevere. And that's what I want to encourage you guys on right now. So as we go through Proverbs 3, in verse 1 and 2, listen up to wise counsel. The messy middle is coming. And so wise counsel, like I think about it with my pops and my mom. I was very, very fortunate with this because they were constantly pouring into me. I'm not saying that they were perfect people. We didn't have a perfect family, anything like that. But they were constantly pouring this wisdom in that I didn't realize until later on in my life. But I tell you, recognize and realize wisdom, test it. And where you test it with, I used to think that my pops would say all these amazing sayings because he was the wisest guy on the planet. Then I realized he was reading books. He was reading the word. He was studying, and those words came out his mouth. It's amazing because like your mouth is an overflow of your heart, and the only way that something can get into your heart is through your eyes, through your ears, and through your senses. So if you're experiencing something, if you're reading it or listening to it or watching it, right? If you're watching stuff, it's going into your mind. When your mind is filled up, it goes down into your heart. Once your heart gets filled up, it comes out your mouth. So the words that my parents were saying to me, and this wisdom that I thought that just came from them, they were studying. My mom was a prayer warrior. My pops was reading. He was reading books. He was reading the word. He was spending time with the Lord. And then he was directing my eyes there. So I want you to realize that, any wise counsel, I always want you to test it though too. Test it against wisdom. And I would look to Proverbs. I think that's a great way to be able to look at it. In verse 3 and 4, I think of Lenny Kravitz when I hear this one, and my brother was a huge Lenny Kravitz fan. He turned me on to Lenny, and I think Lenny's the last, true rock star. Like he is, Lenny is unbelievable. Probably one of my favorites in the whole entire world, and just an unbelievable musician. I love him, and my wife and I went and saw him in Vegas, and his throat was a little dry, and so he played a lot more, like guitar, the musical part, didn't sing as much, but I was just like, it's Lenny. I don't care. And my wife was like, I didn't like it that much because he didn't sing that much. And you like an artist a lot when you don't care what they do. You just want a part of them. And this verse reminded me of him because in verse 3 and 4, love and faithfulness are a firm foundation and will be needed in the middle. Love and faithfulness. Lenny always sings about love. Always sings about it. And when you're seeing that part, he talks about that God is love. And this is what I asked my wife. I said, what is God? And she said, it's very simple. He's just love. And when you think about this, like in verse 3 and 4, love and faithfulness are a firm foundation and will be needed in the middle. You're going to need love and faithfulness in the middle. You're going to need to be faithful to the things that you believe because in the middle, it is going to be messy. I promise you, that's probably one of the only guarantees in life is that the middle is going to be messy. If you're in a marriage, whatever starts out right, ends up right, right? But God ain't promising the middle. He's promising that the middle is going to be messy. In verse 5 and 6, I told you this earlier. Trust, lean, submit, and he will make your path straight. Your ways will cause challenges in the messy middle. Like if we lean on ours, and this was crazy because when I read this, and my pops would say this to me constantly, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, but submit to him in all your ways, and he will make your path straight. Trust, lean, submit, and he will make you path straight. But imagine, whoever you trust, whoever you lean on, whoever you submit to, that will make your path. So just be conscious of it. That's why I was saying seeking wise counsel. This is incredible. And your ways, the things that you think are the best, I would test them against wisdom. And what is wisdom? The right use of knowledge. The right use of knowledge comes from the fear of God. The fear of God is just the respect of God. If you spend time with him, hear his words, see his actions, you'll see that they're in line because he has never lied up to this point, and he never will. And he always delivers. So that will garner respect. Once you have respect or fear of God, then he'll bring wisdom, which is the right use of knowledge. And that wisdom, when you put your ways against wisdom, most of the time your ways won't hold up. I promise you, our ways will not hold up against wisdom most of the time, unless we have steeped ourselves in wisdom, then our ways will be wise. But if we start to lean on ourselves, and I've done this, I've got to the point in business, I've done it in relationships, I've done it in friendships where I'm like, I got this, no problem. And then I disconnected myself from the source on a day-to-day basis. And guess what starts to happen? I start making decisions that I think are best. And when I put them up against wisdom, they are never a match for that. Let's go on from verse 9 through 18. This was if you read through this, and I would encourage you in Proverbs 3, is read the word, like read it, spend a little bit of time in it, because what will start to happen is it'll start to speak to you and start to read you in your circumstances. And in verse 9 through 18, this was, it literally went through and just broke down every aspect of where we are within our life. It talked about wealth. It talked about health. It talked about discipline. It talked about peace. And it said that those are plentiful when wisdom is present. Think of this. If you want wealth, health, discipline, and peace, what is everybody selling? Like, it's so funny. I've said this before, but on Instagram, like I'm going to be 50 this year, May 23rd. So you can send your gifts. I would appreciate that. But now everything on my Instagram, everything on my TikTok, everything on like social is all about like, are you 50? Turning back the time or turning back the clock, all these things. And it talks about all these things that you could do by, if you buy this supplement, then you're going to, things are going to work out. And they talk about wealth, health, discipline, and peace. Like this is all the things that are hitting us on social media, and they're trying to sell us that. And what God is saying is they're plentiful when wisdom is present. Wisdom, right use of knowledge. Wisdom, the beginning of wisdom, is the fear of God. And so if the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, which is the respect of God, then I just need to spend time with him. He'll give me wisdom. And what's plentiful with that? Wealth, health, discipline, and peace. Man, I tell you, it's like it was already written, and God was getting us prepared to start out right so we end up right, but he does not promise a calm middle. I can almost promise you that it's going to be a messy middle. And you guys all know this, like anywhere where you're at, I don't care where my friends are, there is not a person in the world, even if they've quote unquote made it, they'll tell you about the messy middle. They'll be like, you didn't understand all the things that we had to go through to be able to do that. If you see a marriage that's lasted 30, 40 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is, there's always a messy middle. So we've got to be conscious of that. And God is saying, like, I just want to get you prepared. I love you enough to get you prepared for that right now. In verse 19 through 26, wisdom will build a firm foundation of understanding, knowledge, judgment, and discretion. That will be needed in the messy middle. Let me say it again. Wisdom will build a firm foundation of understanding, knowledge, judgment, and discretion. Let me ask you this. If you're in the middle right now, do you need understanding? Yes. Do you need knowledge? Yes. Do you need judgment? Yes. Do you need discretion? Yes. We need these things. Those are muscles that we need. And what God is saying is, let me build them in the foundation before you ever need them. Let me build them before you ever need them. So when you need them, they're ready, because it's coming. Let's see here. In verse 32 through 27 through 31. Generosity, honesty, humility, and integrity are building blocks to protect you in the messy middle. Let's review. Let's go back just a second. Wisdom will build a firm foundation of understanding, knowledge, judgment, and discretion that will be needed in the messy middle. And watch this. How do we build it? How do we build on that firm foundation? Well, here's the building blocks, and he gives us to us 3,000 years ago. He gets us ready for this messy middle that we're going to be living in. Generosity, honesty, humility, integrity. If you're building a business and you need building blocks for it, be generous with other businesses around. Be generous in your marriage. Be generous with your friendships. Honesty. Always, tell the truth. Then you don't have to worry about the lies that you told. Like, this is things that my mom told me, but I now realize where it came from. Humility, right? Humility to realize that you were in the spot where somebody else needed a hand up, and make sure that we're doing that. And then integrity, being the same in the dark as you are in the light. Those are building blocks for any business, relationship, for your marriage, all those things. And those building blocks are generosity, honesty, humility, and integrity are the building blocks that will protect you in the messy middle. Now, it won't stop the messy middle from happening, but you could be a little bit more prepared. And as we finish up today in verse 32 through 35, don't build your house on sand. Don't build your house on sand. This was my mom was saying, like, whatever starts out right ends up right. A lot of times, the shiny stuff, because we want to say, like, oh no, I want to go to the decorating of the thing so it looks really good. But what God is saying is, like, no, I want you to build the foundation. And the foundation is the part that no one will ever see. It's the dirty, it's the nasty, it's the pipes, it's all those things. And I tell you, when I bought my second house, I remember I was having it built, and I took everybody the day that they laid the foundation. And no one got excited. I looked at it. I was like, here's the foundation. Here's where their rooms are going to be. And everyone was like, okay, cool. Can we go back home? But I could see it because I understood. I was invested in the end result. But unless they're invested in the end result, they won't get excited about the foundation. And that's okay. But make sure that you started out right. If we build on a firm foundation, when the messy middle inevitably comes, you can stand steadfast. Whatever starts out right ends up right. That's what my mama used to say. The beginning. This is what she would talk about. The beginning will determine the end, although the middle will test the foundation. So I want to invite you, whether you're in the beginning, start it out right. Do it with integrity. Make sure that you seek wisdom in it as much as possible. If you're in the beginning, do that. If you're in the messy middle, stop and evaluate. How did I start? Because in the event that you continue to go forward, and I found this with with marriages, with friendships, with businesses, all those things, if you're in the messy middle and you didn't start out right, just be conscious because more stuff is coming. So stop and then start over. Just reset, because whatever starts out right ends up right. And the messy middle will definitely test the foundation. Well, this has been Proverbs 3. If you want to read it, jump on our Substack. If you want to watch it and listen to it, you're doing it right now. It's the podcast, and it's on all channels, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and everywhere you get your podcasts. If you want to experience it, come to the Vibe Experience. It's April 12th in Salt Lake City, Utah at the Edison House. It's going to be amazing. If you want to engage with it, you can have me in, like Amaze Insights is having me in tomorrow to come and speak to their company to bring their team together. So I want to thank you so much. This has been another episode of Inchstones. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Have a phenomenal day. Drop a comment, too. Let me know where you're at. Are you beginning? Are you in the messy middle? Or is it finished? Have a wonderful day. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain. We